Mount Herman. McLaughlin stopped everything. "That's D.L. Moody School," he said. "You are a fortunate young man." The term went on with me continuing to stare at the girls more than at my books. And it was time for our first major paper. I don't remember exactly what the topic was, but it has something to do with George Macaulay Trevelyan's 2-volume History of England. What I do remember is that I had read about half of Volume 1 and none of Volume 2. Not to worry, I had learned how to write at Mount Herman, and McLaughlin liked Mount Herman, so I would be fine. I worked for 3 hours and turned in a 10-page paper of well-written, unmitigated nonsense. A week later, the papers were handed back, and I received a low grade, which didn't really surprise me. But what did surprise me was that McLaughlin had written a full-page, single-spaced, typed response to my fraudulent excuse for scholarship. Somehow he had sifted through the dross and found a few nuggets of thought, and he was able to take those glimmers and suggest how I could turn them into a real paper. He concluded by saying in the future it would help if I actually read our text before I started writing. I decided to see who this McLaughlin guy was. He was full Professor William G. McLaughlin, recognized as one of the world's leading scholars of early American religion, with a special interest in evangelist and revivalist. Big letters across the top. Rudy would threaten to throw me out of the 3rd-floor window of Recitation Hall, which is right there. But Rudy saw that I was trying, that I wasn't a hopeless case, so he offered to give me special help. I would arrive at Rudy's apartment, and along with telling me, "Monsieur Batty, you must pronounce each individual syllable perfectly," he would have me work on sentences similar to those we would be tested on the next day. Rudy knew I was going to Brown, and right before graduation, he told me that, though he was proud of the progress I had made in French, I needed to realize that he had colleagues in the Brown French department. He made me promise I would never take another French course until I found Warren, lest I tarnish his reputation. Needless to say, French at Brown was easy after surviving Rudy. And last year, when I was living in Paris and conducting my life in French, there wasn't a day went by that I didn't think Rudy, Danny, Lydia, and especially Gorgie Jow. In Paris on my sabbatical, I read a number of books by David Gessner, NMH class of 1979. One evening, while reading Gessner's book entitled Soaring with Fidel, I came across a passage which took me right back to Northfield Mount Herman. In the book, David is in Havana, and he writes, quote, "Pictures of Fidel and Che were pasted everywhere, and we kept passing buildings that looked like inner-city projects. My cab driver, Marcos, spoke only Spanish, and soon, for the first of many times, I was silently thanking Senor Shepard, my jolly high school Spanish teacher, who had danced and played guitar and sang Guantanamera and done everything else he could to teach me the few Spanish words I knew, despite my almost complete lack of interest." End of quote. I put my book down and thought of the symmetry. Bill, Rudy Weber, French, Paris. David, Chris Shepard, Spanish, Havana. How hard and how well for 130 years teachers have worked at Northfield, at Mount Herman, and at Northfield Mount Herman to prepare students to live in the world. Remember Gandhi. Whatever you do will be insignificant, but it is very important that you do it. Many years ago, the captain of my girls' track and field team was a young woman named Sarah Redfield. With a near-perfect stride, Sarah was a long-distance runner who won almost every race she entered. As she would near the finish line, I'd cheer her on and then run to congratulate her. She was always gone by the time I got to where she'd been, gone to cheer on each and every other Northfield Mount Herman teammate in the race, right down to the girl who almost always finished last. The girl had a running stride like mine. The girl who ran at a slower pace than I do today. Sarah would stand right next to the track and yell to her that she was the most beautiful, the strongest, the best, and the bravest runner in the world. I just didn't get it. I thought Sarah was crazy. I wanted to cheer for Sarah and bask in her glory, and then condescendingly say at the team dinner that the other girl was also an important member of our team. Sarah was finally able to teach me what Tom Lyons, Bob Knight, Bill McLaughlin, Rudy Waybear, and Chris Shepard already knew. That the great coaches and the great teachers cheered just as hard and just as honestly for the also-rans as for the Sarahs. 1 week ago, I stood by Andover's Big Blue track, and I yelled at Heather Livingston, and I yelled at Hannah Ryan that they were the most beautiful, the strongest, the best, and the bravest runners in the world. And I could hear Sarah Redfield saying, "Bill, I taught you well." So I now tell you, the class of 2009 of Northfield Mount Hermon School, you are the most beautiful, you are the strongest, you are the best, and you are the bravest class in the world. I know that you, like Gandhi, will go forth and do both insignificant things and great things. I know they will all matter. Thank you very much.